This is The Drive with Dale Lolley and Matt Williamson on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. SNR, Steelers Nation Radio.
Welcome to The Drive. It is a beautiful yet somewhat chilly day here in Pittsburgh. It's a fall-type day here, and, I'm here with Matt Williamson. I'm Dale Lolley, and lots of stuff to get to from the Mike Tomlin press conference today, Matt, as he went down a laundry list of injuries. But before we get to the injuries, let's talk quarterback situation. I guess that's kind of an injury as well.
Yeah, I suppose.
Mike Tomlin saying today that Russell Wilson will be a full participant in tomorrow's practice. That will be the first one of the week for the Steelers. Not going to make any commitments at all to Russell Wilson at this point until he sees how he feels on Thursday. And then, as he said, we'll let the week be our guide.
Okay.
The plan, however, is to get Justin Fields ready to start this week because, again, you don't know how Russell Wilson is going to respond.
Yeah, get him full
to
go.
A full day of practice.
Right.
It may be that, get through this whole week of full practices. Maybe Russell Wilson's your 2 on Sunday in Las Vegas. And then from there,
who knows? I mean, he could be the 1, he could be the 2, he could be the 3, it sounds like at this point.
And if he's the 2 in Las Vegas, there's also a chance that he plays.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. I don't know how to really respond to that. I think we've seen it coming. It'll be interesting what he does and who he does it with in these coming days.
Tomlin already said that he's going to work with the 2s because, again, you have to get Justin Fields ready. Wednesday is game plan install.
Mm-hmm.
You start installing your game plan for the following week. So you can't split the snaps between those 2 guys.
So, folks, if you put Fields with the 2s, and then Wilson can't go on Sunday, then Fields didn't get the proper work.
The same thing that happened in week 1 where Wilson's the starter, takes all the snaps on Wednesday as the starter.
Yeah.
Comes in Thursday, gets in the practice, and
aggravates it.
Aggravates the calf injury or aggravated itself when he showed up on Thursday. Well, now you've wasted a day of prep on a guy who's not going to play.
Fields isn't throwing to the top guys and isn't with the
And again,
the install,
the game prep for NFL teams, they have essentially 6 hours to implement this stuff.
It's very, very little. I mean,
not counting the film time and the off-the-field stuff, but on-field training, they've got 6 hours.
Yeah, I mean, behind the scenes, everyone's doing the same stuff. All the quarterbacks are watching the same tape. I mean, they can do stuff on their own, but the teacher's up at the blackboard and they're in class, basically, and on the field, it's very limited. Very limited.
Yeah.
I mean, and speaking of limited, if a player is limited, they might get 3 hours, not 6, or you know what I mean. So
it's
hopefully Wilson gets everything.
So Thursday actually will be the big day.
Okay.
For Russell Wilson,
right? Because he'll do everything tomorrow.
Yeah. They want to see how it responds, and from there we'll see how it goes.
And it always sounds like calves are tricky. Like you take 3 steps forward, he's fine, then he aggravates it. Kind of like before this opening day.
In the time leading up to that, from the time that he came back in training camp and played in the preseason and did all that stuff, they had sat him out for 2 weeks with the initial calf injury. There was nothing there for him to report in terms of tightness or anything like that. Yeah. And then when he aggravated it, it was actual pain in the calf. And so now you're like, okay, there's
something wrong.
Yeah. So this time around, they've gone 5 weeks. I heard people talking about and seen stuff on social media. Well, last week when he was limited, he's still not running around or doing anything. Yeah, because that's what they're telling. They don't want him doing that kind of stuff right now. They want
this thing to totally heal and never be an issue ever again.
They do want to get him some time throwing the football and things of that nature because you got to ramp this thing up. But you don't want him out there running around at this point. Now, tomorrow, since he made it through last week's practices fine, now you're going to have him start running and doing those kind of things.
He'll go full go.
Yeah.
It's not – he will do every drill like everybody else. He'll run his, team drills, and if someone's chasing him, he'll, do his normal thing.
Rollouts and play action.
Of course, he's a quarterback. No one's going to hit him. And, but he's going to act as though – for the first time in a long time, that he's full go, that there's no issue whatsoever.
Stepping up in the pocket, doing all the stuff that you want your quarterbacks to do.
And it's not like a broken bone where, okay, we set it, it's healed, go. You know.
No, it's different. It's a soft tissue injury, and sometimes they're just a little more tricky. Broken bones, when it's healed.
Exactly, right. Cast on it 6 weeks, take an x-ray, it's fine, go.
It's really not that much different than a concussion. As I always say about concussions when people talk about, why has he been out so long with a concussion? it's not like you can crack his head open and pull the skull cap off and go, yeah, that looks good.
No, it's fine. Or put a Band-Aid on it while you're in there, right.
Yeah.
So it sounds like there's a chance he's the starter. But tomorrow, Fields will be acting as the starter.
Yeah.
And go from there.
My guess would be, and again, this is just a guess, they end up starting Fields in Las Vegas.
In Vegas.
Just because he, again, the first day of starter reps has gone to Fields. Now, they could change it. If Wilson comes out and looks great tomorrow, that could change.
Yeah, I'm saying subject to change. I mean, we'll be keeping you guys posted every day what the latest scuttlebutt is, I guess, or how they're being used.
It will be interesting, though, if Wilson is the 2 on Sunday.
Yes.
If they get off to another slow start, would Mike Tomlin be tempted to make that change?
I would imagine he would be.
Yeah.
Or insert him in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
I mean, is there a Wilson package? I mean, I think if it's the other way around, like we talked about all offseason, that if he decides as the week goes on, Wilson's the one, we still might see Fields.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it should be true the other way around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, interesting situation.
It certainly is, which, brings us to, again, the George Pickens stuff. And Mike Tomlin was asked, I don't know, there were probably 20 to 25 questions today in the entire press conference. Mm-hmm. And half of them involved George Pickens.
Really?
Again, Mike Tomlin is saying this is a load management thing. And look, when they're trying to run the football, a lot of times George Pickens isn't out there. He hadn't played 100% of the snaps.
No, most receivers don't.
He's been out there 100% of the time all season long when they're in 11. Mm-hmm. So I do think there is some credence to when Tomlin said, "Look, there was some stuff out there where we want Van Jefferson out there blocking."
Okay.
But folks, this is there's not a doubt in my mind that there was some behavioral stuff that was being taken care of here.
I mean, if Allen Robinson was on the team, he's a really, really good blocking receiver. He doesn't have more value on 1st and 10 and 12 personnel than George Pickens.
Right.
Because you might as well put it on the scoreboard, we're running the ball. And that doesn't do you any good. Right. He's your best receiver. Anyone with eyes knows that. And if he's not out there, it's a red flag, unless he's running go routes and takes himself out.
I also think there was some stuff where the Steelers did look at their tendencies in the analytics part of it. And I know people don't think about this part of it. But I there was a package where they brought out 3 tight ends, and those were, the receivers, non-George Pickens receivers. There were 2 of them out there, and I'm like, oh, this is a running play, and they threw out of it.
Right?
In an I form, they had Connor Hayward's in the backfield. The touchdown pass, I believe, to Connor Hayward was out of a formation that George Pickens was not on the field. Mm-hmm. Because you see your tendencies. Hey, when we put this package on the field, we're running it 90% of the time. We can't do that. We got to throw out of this sometimes, just to keep teams honest.
And Austin's not a good blocker. I mean, he's a willing blocker, but I mean, you're not going to tell me that he's out there blowing up linebackers.
He does serve a purpose, though, in a play like that. Though you just say, "Hey, Calvin, you're going deep.
Yeah.
You're running your
just
guy
run
out of the
somebody
box.
out of here, right?"
And we'd rather not. George is going to run 60 routes in this game. Mm-hmm. If we can take one less go route off his plate where we're not throwing him the football, and he's a decoy, then okay.
But I'm with you. There's more going on.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no question. And, and hopefully that all gets resumed and he gets back to being a star,
Yeah. It can't be. I mean, he got 7 targets in the game. Mm-hmm. That's what he's averaging for the season, 7 targets per game.
Yeah, they're not throwing to him.
Yeah. So, it is what it is, and I get it. And I was asked the question today on social media. I don't remember these wide receivers being divas like this back in the 30 years ago, 40 years ago. There's no social media.
Well, maybe not 40 years ago they weren't. I don't know, but there wasn't any social media.
I can tell you when for a fact.
It's the nature of the position.
When people say Swan and Stallworth had a rivalry.
Yeah. In practice.
Mm-hmm. And Terry Bradshaw has talked about, if they would try to tempt him, hey, I'm going to take you to dinner, Terry. I'm going to do to get the football.
Get the ball, right.
They all want the football.
Yeah. And
because
I'm sure both
they think
those guys
they
are
can
open
be,
a lot.
Yeah, because they think they can be the reason why a team wins a game.
Mm-hmm. It's a weird position because in a way you're on an island in your own world. You're not next to a blocker, but you're also you're very reliant on somebody else.
Yeah.
I mean, so the best guys all have egos about it.
No doubt.
I got no problem with that at all.
You show me a wide receiver that doesn't have an ego, that doesn't want the football, I'll show you a wide receiver who's not in the league very long.
Yeah, it's not for long.
James Washington's a great guy. Great guy.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And he'll block and
block, do all that stuff. No ego.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He wasn't lacking for talent.
No.
Yeah, right.
But,
second-round pick. Right. Good.
That's just the way it goes at that position because, again, you can't throw the ball to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You're very reliant on what the quarterback and where he goes with the football. And if he's not throwing it to you and you think you're open, and they always think they're open.
Of course. And even in Pickens is not unique, but he's also the type of guy, too, that if I got a 5'10" corner on me and I don't have separation, it might not be a bad idea to throw me the ball.
Yeah, throw me the ball anyway.
Throw the ball in and I'll go make a play,
So there's some of that.
Ego at wide receiver doesn't
bother me at all.
Craziness does.
Well, there's that.
I mean, problems are a problem,
Every player who is a pain in the neck in terms of, off field, any of that kind of stuff, you're only valuable until you're not.
Mm-hmm.
So, for coaches, they often have to weigh what's this guy mean to the team versus what's the headache worth here.
Of course.
And when the headache value becomes greater than the production on the field, you're no longer with that team.
I mean, Jimmy Johnson used to say it all the time, like when those great Cowboy teams with Aikman and Irvin and those guys. Well, if Michael Irvin's 5 minutes late for a meeting, that's different than the backup left guard.
Yeah, who's the running back from the running back from Pitt that they cut for falling asleep in a meeting?
I don't know.
They didn't cut Emmitt Smith.
Right,
he was Emmitt Smith's backup.
Oh, okay. You're talking about the Cowboys, right? Exactly.
One from back in the early 90s.
There's a curve.
Yeah.
And there should be. I mean, this is professional sports. This isn't college or high school. It's a job.
It's your profession.
I mean, your job is to win games.
And, for the wide receiver, for a guy like Pickens, he hasn't got paid yet.
No.
And so you get paid based on your production.
Sure. I mean, that's another frustrating thing that people don't think about from a wide receiver perspective is, well, let's say the Steelers negotiate with him right now, which I know is not going to happen. But, hey, these are your numbers.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, but they could be so much better. But, yeah, these are your numbers. But, yeah, they could be so much better. We'll throw me the ball and add better numbers, right?
Yeah. I mean, people were talking about Pat Freiermuth last season. Well, Pat Freiermuth had a bad year because he only had 30 catches.
Mm-hmm.
But he had 60 catches the previous two.
Right.
He was the only tight end in second tight end in NFL history to have 60 or more catches in his first two seasons.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody wants to point to the third season. Well, he had a bad year. He was injured some, but they didn't throw him the ball.
All right, let's say throw me the ball, or hey, I'll make a cut up of all the times you should have thrown me the ball and didn't, or
for whatever
maybe you
reason
had me
it was,
block more than I should have, or whatever. But
they just didn't. For whatever reason last season, the Steeler quarterbacks did not target the tight ends. I've said this multiple times. Freiermuth had 98 targets himself in 2022.
2 years ago, right.
Last season, all the tight ends combined had 93.
Right.
They didn't throw the ball to the tight ends as much.
They did not.
So therefore, the tight end catches were down.
They were down heavily. So I'm on the edge of my seat about this injury report, by the way. You said there's a
we'll
ton
get to
of
that
them.
in the next segment. There's a bunch.
It sounds like it's going to be bulky.
To talk about all this stuff. But the big one, of course, is Russell Wilson will be back. There's some bigger ones here that, again, it's the cluster injuries.
I mean, we've dealt with a handful. I mean, O-line got hit hard early in the process. Running backs were lacking, this past game, and then now we got edge guys that are clusters. And seems to be that's a hard thing to overcome.
It is.
No matter what.
The Raiders dealing with some things of their own, particularly at quarterback, and the whole Devontae Adams. Again, talking about diva wide receivers. You got
he wants out.
Everybody wants him.
I mean, there's a million guys this offseason, Ayuk and all the wide receiver trades, that, hey, I want paid or I want out or whatever. It's not uncommon.
Yeah. The
it's
guy,
a weird market right now.
The guy who's trying to force his way out of a city, that's the one that all Steeler fans want.
Mm-hmm. And even like Ayuk now is acting goofy after his contract. There's been some things that he's doing weird stuff at practice. And
he wore the wrong shirt. That was overblown.
He wore the wrong shirt.
He wore the wrong shorts. And,
shorts.
And there was a video put out there. Here's and the title of it was, Ayuk blows up over, and I'm watching the video and I'm waiting for the blow up, and I'm watching Kyle Shanahan talk to Ayuk, and then I see Ayuk take the shorts off and put another pair of shorts on. I'm like, that's the blow up?
That's all it was? I just heard there was stuff at practice. Like, wear the wrong shorts.
Here's the problem with today's media.
They have to put something out there.
They have to put something out there. To me, it's the cameras in everybody's hands because you're carrying around the phone. It's the same thing when the athletes are out in public. It's kind of where I was going with the whole, did this stuff happen 30 years ago?
Well, nobody knew. Nobody
knew that this kind of stuff was going on because everybody has a camera. Yeah. And immediately you cut it up and put the clip out on social media and go, here, look at this, because you're going for the hits. Mm-hmm. That's what it's all. You got to get the hits.
And you only put the 6 seconds that make the guy look bad, not the 5 before.
You can cut it out of context. You can do whatever you want with it. Honestly, and I'm not tooting my own horn here, I always refuse. I just did not want to do that. Mm-hmm. And maybe that makes me a dinosaur. Maybe that makes me old. Whatever. I don't care because I want to have a conversation with a guy.
Yeah.
And where he is comfortable telling me things that I can then write, as opposed to putting a camera up in his face. And now
you can really see their point of view, too.
It becomes so impersonal.
Yeah.
And so I just always balked at doing that. I said, look, if my interview, I want to do things one-on-one. I'm not going in there. I said, if it's a setting where there's multiple people, okay, fine. But now you look at those, and everybody's got the same thing.
Everybody's got the same thing. And you said everyone's got a camera in their hands. And
It's gotten ridiculous. And
you can go to any NFL practice and see guys, quote, dogging it or jogging through their routes. People don't play. They don't want you to play 100%. And then they'll put it out on social media. Well, look, he's not giving any effort. And, not everything's 100% at practice.
And a lot of, and I hate to rip on fellow journalists and things of that nature, but you got to know the context. You got to know what's being asked of the player on that particular day or in that, like when Chris Collinsworth rips on Minkah Fitzpatrick, as I mentioned yesterday. Yeah. Well, and then all the fans or some of the fans grasp onto that. Well, he didn't get over there. Collinsworth said it. Mm-hmm. We also said he's there. He's doubling CeeDee Lamb.
Right.
Which do you want? You can't shade towards CeeDee Lamb, and then Dallas knows this as well. Mm-hmm. Okay, we put CeeDee on that side. They're probably going to shade Minkah Fitzpatrick to that side. Now we take our shot down the field.
Yeah. I mean And that's coming. So you guys got to take care of the other guys. Yeah. That's why you're paying the other 10 dudes.
But then Minkah Fitzpatrick gets blamed for it because, he didn't get over there. Collinsworth said it. Well, yeah, because he was doing what he was supposed to do.
So I didn't listen to front to back Tomlin press conference, but this is a perfect example. I'm getting all these tweets. I'm getting people asking me, how could Tomlin lie to us and say that's only about load management? And then as we'd walk into this building, DVE is on. I'm in the bathroom, I'm walking in, and they're playing Tomlin's press conference. And he's talking about Pickens, and he said, I don't think this is the forum to discuss the young man's personal life or development or growth. Nobody mentions that part of, everyone's just like, he's lying to us about management. No, he's not going to tell you things, and he's flat out telling you he's not going to tell you what goes on behind the scenes.
I can count on one hand in the 17 or 18 years that Mike has been here, however long it's been now, I lose track. He doesn't do that. That's not how he operates.
Nor should he. I mean, like if I was the player and he was out there saying Matt Williamson's immature, doesn't work hard, don't tell the world that. We talked about it behind the scenes. We're working on it as a team. Right.
You don't need to call players out publicly to mean that doesn't. If you don't call them out publicly, doesn't mean that the things haven't been addressed.
Exactly. Right. I mean, you don't say Matt Williamson's too dumb to learn the playbook. I mean, there's a lot of players
that
cut
that up, please.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of players that aren't super smart, believe it or not, people. And no coach just says, that guy's too dumb.
He's too dumb. Yeah,
right.
Too dumb. Can't learn.
And there's some that are too dumb. There's some that are too slow. There's some that aren't big enough. Right.
They typically don't hang around very long.
Exactly.
We're overdue for a break. He is Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. When we come back, we will touch on all the other injuries and what the Steelers have to do about that right after this. And we are back. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And Matt mentioned those injuries. And it was a laundry list, starting with 3 outside linebackers. Alex Highsmith
yeah.
will be out again this week with that groin injury. Nick Herbig with
we knew that a week ago, though, pretty much, right?
Yeah, he probably wasn't going to be back
for this one.
He'll be back for the Jets game. That's what they're shooting for.
Is that 2 weeks from now?
2 weeks from now, yeah.
Good.
Nick Herbig, who was his replacement,
yeah.
suffered a hamstring injury. He won't play in this game.
Ooh.
And DeMarvin Leal, who replaced Herbig, he has a neck injury. He won't be back.
So you got TJ, who's a superstar, and no one else. I mean, I know that Moon played, but of your 4 that you counted on, and really Leal can do it, but that's not his forte necessarily.
Yeah.
You're in trouble.
It's TJ and the Pips.
TJ and we'll figure it out type of thing,
Yes.
which means new scheming to me.
A little bit differently. Now, in game, they moved Isaiah Loudermilk out there some, especially when you're a nickel and dime. You can do that because basically you're a rush defensive end in those situations. But you got Jeremiah Moon, who was activated off the PUP list last week on Saturday because he had been, or not the PUP list, off of IR.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, really, for Moon, that was an emergency situation for him because, that was break glass in case something happened.
Yeah,
something happened, and he ended up playing 28 defensive snaps.
They didn't plan on him playing 28 defensive snaps, is your point. Right. I mean,
when we're talking about the things with Russell Wilson, Jeremiah Moon had started practicing on Wednesday, got through 3 full practices, and they said, okay, he's good enough to go. We need
We'd
the
like
bodies.
to have a 4th one,
Yeah.
and I can't remember if he played special teams or not. I'm sure he was out there some.
Yeah, he plays special, and he did that throughout training camp, so at least you had that look at it, but they didn't plan on playing him 28 snaps.
No, and good thing he was active, or it would have been even worse. And from what I saw of him, I wasn't super impressed, but he also wasn't a first-round pick.
He had 3 practices,
too. And right, yeah, I mean, he's not a...
I would expect with a full week of practices with the ones, it should be better. They have to
have contingency plans and scheme changes too now.
They also have on the practice squad, and these guys are both recent signings as well, Ade Ogundije and Eku Leota.
Okay.
Now, Ogundije started 27 games for the Falcons, but it was in 2021 and 2022.
I don't know the name.
I think he was a 5th-round draft pick out of Notre Dame.
Okay. I think I'm warming up to the idea. An edge rusher type guy, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, he's at least got some starting experience there.
But this kind of reminds me of last year when they're like grabbing Michael Walker and those type of dudes. I mean, it's
anybody
exactly what it is, right?
all hands on deck. Leota's appeared in 9 games last season, and this year it was 8 last year, one game this year for the Carolina Panthers. So,
okay,
that's what you're looking at right now. Now, that doesn't mean that they won't add to that this week, but it is a problem.
It sounds like a real problem, but it also sounds like a one-game problem.
Yeah.
And then knock on everything you can that Watt stays healthy. I mean, that would be
devastating.
Right? Like it always is anyways, but it would be devastating now.
Yeah.
I think you got to do scheme changes. Or Peyton Wilson, do you want to play a little bit of edge?
That's not happening.
You don't think they'll do any of that?
He was asked about that, and he says he is an inside linebacker.
Okay.
I mean, if you think about it, it makes sense. Why was one of the reasons why he fell, in addition to the knees? Well, he has short arms.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like we mentioned Timmons or Chad Brown. He doesn't look like either one of those
Timmons
guys.
and Chad Brown were outside
They were
linebackers
outside guys
in college.
Oh,
who they moved
not
inside.
It's not the same.
Yeah.
Wilson just rushes the passer well, and he's tall. But if you see him walk down the hall, he's lean. I mean, like he doesn't have a lot of sand in his pants. He's not real thick in his lower body.
Yeah,
they on tackles time and time again.
And they didn't ask Timmons and Chad Brown to move positions in their rookie seasons either.
True.
5 games into it.
Those guys were hand in the dirt edge pass rushers, though, at some point.
Yeah.
I don't love the idea of Loudermilk doing it, but maybe you just do more 4-man fronts or, you know what I mean, just put a heavy end, over there at some point. Play more nickel. I don't know.
Bump Cam out there and let him rush off the
edge.
edge.
I would say just it's not the best usage of him, but so what? I mean, he can handle it, and maybe he doesn't, wide plays. Maybe he can't be
he'll set the edge.
I mean, he'll set that
he'll
part
get to
of it,
the edge,
right.
and this isn't the Raiders aren't a good running team.
No, so this isn't a terrible team to be playing with in this instance either. Watt's going to get quadrupled.
Yeah.
And more than he usually does.
Although
it's a challenge.
They're on their backup left or right tackle.
That's what I'm going to say is, I mean, Moon might be okay against, well, not against Miller, but
yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, you don't want that matchup
You're right.
being just Miller dominates it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I would think about putting Cam out
there and just not getting a lot of edge bender, edge pass rush stuff.
He can go straight down the center of Miller.
Yeah.
I mean, Miller's fine, but he's not. I mean,
and
he's more
Ogunjobi and Benton.
What is Miller, 6'8"?
Oh, yeah, he's real.
I mean, he's a real tall, angular
very
type
tall, right.
offensive tackle. He doesn't have a lot of sand in the pants. All right.
I think that's the best solution.
Yeah.
I mean, just not use him exactly the same. He wouldn't be as wide. You know, like TJ lines up really wide.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not lining Cam up that far off the ball, away from the ball, but he could still be on the outside shoulder of Miller.
Yeah.
You know, and see what happens there. Bump up. Ogunjobi didn't play a lot of snaps. I know he was on the injury
He was on.
report.
Yeah, he had that groin, so I think they wanted to kind of limit that a little bit. But I don't. I mean, if it's on, I'm sure obvious passing downs. If it's Hayward, Benton, Ogunjobi, and Watt, that's still a pretty good pass rushing group.
It's not fast, but it's what you got.
You're not playing quarterbacks, though. You're not playing a mobile quarterback this week.
No.
With either of these guys.
No, I think that's the best move.
Yeah. That's not the only stuff, though.
Okay. That's not good.
Cordell Patterson also will miss his second consecutive game. And Tomlin listed 3 players as doubtful. Now, he doesn't typically say doubtful.
I was going to say, is that
on Tuesdays?
Rare at a press conference? Okay.
That would be Jalen Warren, DeMonte KZ, and Michael Pruitt.
Okay.
So he's leaving the light on for those guys. If they can make it back, all 3 guys are veteran players.
KZ must get hurt during the game. Huh?
He got hurt in warm-ups, actually, twisted his ankle, was able to play through it, but as you know, sometimes you take the shoe off and all of a sudden it goes,
yeah,
and blows up on you.
Adrenaline and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
So we'll see about those, but if any of those 3 can get back and have at least a limited practice on Friday, they would have a chance.
Okay. Warren's the one I'd want most.
I honestly, I think if they left it up to Jalen Warren, he would play.
Mm-hmm. I mean, toughness isn't an issue.
That's not the issue.
Or any of that kind of stuff. But you also don't want him to re-aggravate it and be
that's
out for the
that's
year
what they
and
don't
that kind
want.
of stuff, right? I mean, it's a long season. Man, I'd love to see him back in there. But so those guys probably are going to be around 2 weeks from now if they don't play then? I mean, is that hopeful? Is that...
Yeah, I think they would be back for the Jets
something
game.
to shoot at?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, Pruitt's a good player, and he's kind of the glue of that group because he can do a little bit of everything. But you got 3 tight ends that are capable and, play a lot of 12 or whatever, too. That's not the end of the world to me. KZ's valuable, but third safety isn't. I mean, Edmonds.
Well, in
some
cases,
right?
like I think ideally they'd like to use Elliott more in the slot.
Mm-hmm.
We saw quite a bit of that, again, I think Beanie Bishop's been a bit of an issue there.
Sure. It's harder to do.
So if you don't have KZ, or there are times when you want to move Mink up in the slot. If you don't have KZ, you're going to be less apt to do that as well.
Yeah,
you're not going to have Edmonds go back and play free safety.
No, and
Elliott can do it, but that's not a good use of his skill set either.
Right. Ooh, there's a lot of things you got to scheme around.
Yeah, but that's life in the NFL.
It is. I mean, this isn't they're not the only team dealing with it. They're not the team with the most injuries out there either. But clusters are tough.
Yeah, they definitely are. And this is why I was thinking about this morning as I was driving into the offices. When people talk about the Steelers having $10.5 million in cap space, they don't take into account that you have to have money available to sign people because of injuries.
If they were to go grab an edge guy or something,
just go get it. Just go get go get a receiver who has $10.5 million left on his contract.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Well, that's all well and good, but now you don't have any. Now you
nothing in the bank.
You can't sign anybody else during the season when you have injury clusters like this.
Yeah,
you got what you got.
Golden's probably not the best example, but do you think they might be on the phone with some veteran edge guy of that ilk?
I would at least call him and say, "Hey, are you retired? Or,
yeah,
have you kept in shape?
Do you want to give it a shot?
Can you give us 15 snaps on Sunday?"
I'd at least kick the tires on it.
Yeah,
man. Okay, I've been excited for Warren. That's kind of a bummer. I think he'd be a nice shot in the arm to this offense. KZ, I think you can live without, but that's not ideal. Same with Pruitt.
Yeah, it's not the cluster injury. And luckily for them, they were able to get Terrell Edmonds back.
Yeah, all of a sudden he's going to be a regular contributor now.
Yeah,
you know?
that you may see him out there some, and it's not the worst thing in the world. Having Patterson and Warren out again.
Yeah, we saw how that looks.
Yeah,
not great. Anybody else on the injury report at all?
No, that's it.
Okay, but
again,
they're all bad
clustered.
ones. Yeah, they're all clusters, and they're not questionable ones or limited ones. They're bad ones. It sounds like they're outs and doubtfuls.
And of course, the Raiders dealing with some stuff of their own, and largely it's the quarterback situation.
And Christian Wilkins was injured.
And Christian Wilkins got hurt. Yeah,
who's a really, really good player.
So we'll. I mean, if they don't have Christian Wilkins there, that's pretty tough for them. I mean, they went out and
major offseason addition,
gave up a lot to get him,
mm-hmm.
and now all of a sudden you don't have him. I'm just looking here to see what else they've got here in terms of injury stuff.
Well, in the meantime, folks, so if they're not,
and we know Devontae Adams isn't playing.
Adams isn't going to play. Minshew was pulled for the second time this year in that game and replaced by O'Connell. They haven't announced a starter, and I don't think there's a huge difference between the two. I'd probably rather play against O'Connell, but I don't think they have their quarterback yet.
So Zamir White is questionable.
Okay. Did he miss this past week?
I believe he did, yeah. The Cameron Richardson, who's a cornerback, questionable. Thayer Mumford Jr., the offensive tackle, questionable. I think he's their starting right tackle.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Mayer, the tight end, questionable. He didn't play last week. Tyreek McAllister.
And they want to be in a lot at 12.
Yeah.
I mean, that's their plan.
Tyreek McAllister is a wide receiver, questionable. Divine Diablo, linebacker, is questionable. And then Devontae Adams, he is not playing.
He's not going to play. He might even be a Raider by then.
Yeah. And, of course, we'll see. And
they didn't mention Wilkins?
Wilkins, didn't return to that game with the foot injury.
Mm-hmm.
That foot injury for a guy that size typically is not good.
I mean, he was immediately ruled out. That's why I assumed he would not be playing in this game.
And, in terms of their, the depth chart, I mean, they don't have
a very good roster.
They don't have, when you're deciding, you're pulling your quarterback to put in the guy that he beat out in training camp, it tells me you don't have a quarterback.
Yeah, it's one of those.
This is not the Wilson Fields thing.
It's not. It's not Montana Young either. Or holding it down for the young guy till he's ready. Brissett in May or something like that. We did a lot of O'Connell last year. Didn't really like it, or thought he was the answer. So went out and got Minshew. They were heavily rumored to be in on Penix, who went right in front of them. And now they're kind of left holding the bag.
Their right tackle, if Mumford isn't ready to go, and I don't think he will be, is DJ Glaze, who was kind of a project out of Maryland this year in the draft. Went in the third round because he has the size and measurables.
Yeah, he is a project, though.
But his tape last year did not project him.
No, he's a good combine guy. And yeah.
I mean, he gave up a bunch of sacks last year in Maryland. It was not good.
And I was shocked he went in the third round. I mean, I thought he was more of a fifth-round redshirt year, which is probably what they would still love to do with him.
And they got Jackson Powers Johnson isn't starting for them either.
He was playing a lot last week, and he's been on the field. I mean, he's definitely played snaps this year. Maybe he's been pulled in and out of the lineup. Are they
bumping Cody Whitehair out to right tackle and some of that?
I don't think so. Whitehair's
Dylan
bad.
Parham?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, Whitehair is somebody you want to play against.
Yeah. There's a reason he has white hair. But, yeah, so, I mean, they've got some offensive line problems, and there's,
I mean, their O-line's not tremendous on its best day. Jameis, I think you pronounce it Hamus, or I don't pronounce his name properly. He's an okay center that they retained.
Andre James.
Yeah, but I think he's pronounced it like an H. I know that sounds weird.
I've never heard that.
Okay.
Where's Rob King when you need him?
He's good at that stuff.
That's all he does. Rob likes to correct Matt and I on pronunciations.
Because he's right and we're wrong. I mean, because he does it.
That's
fine. He does play-by-play, right?
Yeah. We're not doing play-by-play, so if we want to call Andre James instead of James or Hamus,
right.
Guys, this is an aside.
Yeah.
You make it to the NFL, and everybody has called you your name and pronounced it one way, and then you decide one day, well, that's not how it's pronounced. Who was the pit tackle?
Well, there's Dorsett and Dorset.
That
one, right?
With Theismann and Thiesman.
Yeah,
that changed as well. But there was the tackle from Pitt, or guard from Pitt. I'm sorry, the guard from Pitt. who went to the Bears, I think, or maybe the Bills back in the day, and said, "Oh, everybody's been pronouncing my name wrong throughout my college career," and I never corrected them. But now I'm in the NFL.
Why didn't you correct them? I mean, you could go to your
my last name gets mispronounced all the time.
How so?
I get Lolley. I get all that kind of stuff.
I can see that.
I get called Dave all the time. That's even worse. Like
Where
it's
do you get
Dale.
that?
The L. It's L. Not the. It's not.
It's not
a V on its side.
Right. But anyways,
it is what it is.
Their center is fine.
Just don't call me late for dinner.
Back to the O-line, though. The center's fine. He was one of like 6 free agents that we kind of considered for the Steelers when in free agency time, not knowing Frazier was going to land here. Miller, left tackle's their best guy, but he's not a top 5 left tackle.
Yeah.
He's okay. He's good.
Yeah. So, they got some issues there. Diablo's their starting weak side linebacker.
They like Diablo
too.
a lot. Yeah,
he's very active.
Run and hit. Big safety type.
Big safety out of Virginia Tech that,
he was
been
a good
in the league
tester
for a few
too.
years. So that leaves him with Robert Spillane.
Well, they play him every snap.
They
I think
love
he's a
Spillane,
green dot guy, right?
And I don't know that the Steelers aren't going to love playing against Spillane.
Yeah, we do our 3 keys every week, and one of them might be attack Spillane.
Attack Spillane in the passing game.
Yeah.
I mean, Robert's a great run stopper, and he'll fill the hole and do all that stuff. And he knows where he's supposed to be at. He just can't always get there.
Yeah, I'm shocked that they're as excited about him and use him as much as they do.
Well, I mean, it's not a great defense.
It's not.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess he's at the top of the league.
Here we go again, talking down the opponent.
Right. No chance they can lose this one. This is not a very good opponent, though, folks.
No.
There's a lot of bad teams out there.
There are. You can't lose to them, and I don't know that the Steelers have lost. They haven't lost to a bad team.
No, I don't think the Cowboys are a bad team.
No.
I mean,
I don't think the Colts are a bad team.
No. I think this is a bad team.
Yeah. Absolutely. Let's get to another break. He is
right.
the Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. We'll be back with more right after this. And welcome back. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And Matt, of course, you can listen to the Steelers Audio Network and get The Drive, which is this show, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 on the Steelers Nation Radio, wherever you can download your apps to do that. You can also do that listen to it on the Steelers official mobile app and watch us on YouTube. Again, every Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. The video is usually up by 7, 8 o'clock on YouTube. So you can check that out as well if you are so inclined and want to watch that on your big screen TV. I don't know why you would do that, but
hey,
have at it.
There's worse things to watch on TV. Right. Do whatever makes you happy.
Yes, please keep your clothes on while you do that. Week 5 in the NFL wrapped up last night with the Kansas City Chiefs beating the New Orleans Saints 26-13, and it was a throwback to about 2017,
something like that, about 5 years or so ago. Yeah,
Kareem Hunt, 27 carries for 102 yards. Juju Smith-Schuster, 7 catches for 130 yards. Travis Kelce, 9 for 70. What are we doing here?
Yeah, how about it? And so Rashee Rice had surgery today. He's going to be out for the year. But I guess it was a good surgery or whatever.
The ACL was intact. All that stuff was intact. It was the LCL.
Not going to play again this year. And Juju's going to fill his role. Probably not as well. Yeah. I mean, obviously, but they have some similarities. At least they're the same style. Kelce looks good. He's back to playing pretty well. I mean, we'll see how much he holds up.
The problem is it comes down to the load management stuff that Mike Tomlin was talking about. Do you want Kelce out there running 50 pass routes a game?
I don't think that was the original plan.
Yeah.
I'm sure they had a conversation. Should I come back this year? Should I not? Most players do at that age. I'd like to come back, but not play quite as much, Or
now he's stuck playing.
Now you're playing as much, and such is life. Running back, they've been short forever, and now Pacheco's out and Hunt is carrying the load for now. But
it was 3.8 yards a carry.
I say he wasn't great.
8 yards was his long carry, and it probably took him 8 minutes to run that 8 yards. Because he is not fast.
No, he never was super fast to begin with, and now he's pretty sluggish, and he has good blocking, and he's in a good offense, and great. But they controlled that game. I mean, they had like 40 minutes time of possession. They ran a lot more plays. I didn't think it was ever in danger. I think they're fine.
Well, and immediately on social media, when Juju Smith-Schuster starts to make a couple of plays, the Steelers should have signed him. He'd be their second best wide receiver right now. And I'm like, They're scheming stuff up specifically for Juju.
Yeah. They're not changing the playbook. They're just making him be Rashee Rice.
And he had a 50-yard catch and run where the guy, Tyrann Mathieu, who was supposed to be covering him, fell down. Man, fall down. As I can remember back in the day, Troy Edwards was when he was with the Steelers, and there was a game that Quadri Ismail went off for the Ravens against the Steelers. The one play, Dwayne Washington was covering him and fell down.
Yeah,
and so he's running down the sidelines by himself, and I can't remember who the quarterback was at the time, maybe Tony Banks or somebody of that ilk. Okay. Hit him with the pass, and he went 70 yards for a touchdown. And I think it was our friend Jim Wexel asked Troy Edwards after the game, is that the kind of receiver? He had like 7 catches for 140 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Most of it on that one, I'm sure, right.
Is that the kind of receiver you would hope to be? And Troy Edwards says, expletive, what he done? Man, fall down, and he just ran for an open touchdown. Like that's but the point was, you didn't do anything. You just ran your route. It could have happened to anybody.
Yeah. Maybe they'll get a lot out of Juju, but it's not going to be Rashee Rice. It's not going to be. They're not thrilled with the situation.
And if you watch that game, Smith-Schuster didn't do anything early.
Right.
It was all after Kelsey had kind of gone off.
They were feeding Kelsey early
and then all of a sudden the Saints said, well, we can't let him do that. So now you're singling up Juju with Tyrann Mathieu, who's actually older than Juju.
He's lost a step, too. Yeah, he's not the same. Yeah.
Okay, right. You just can't, if you're going to double Kelsey or someone like, again, it's the Minkah Fitzpatrick talk that we just had. If you're going to double the other team's best receiver, somebody else is going to be open.
I'm sure the Saints saying, well, if Juju has a big night and beats us, so be it. I can live with it. I mean, that's kind of what the league is all about. And I think it's true. You mentioned it for Kelsey. What's Juju look like in 10 games from now? What's Hunt look like in 10 games from now? Fresh off the couch, no damage, you're feeling good,
Juju, I don't even know how many snaps Juju had played to this point, but I guarantee he played more snaps last night than he had.
Oh, yeah. 100%. So.
And he's been a guy over the last few years that's had to manage knee issues. Mm-hmm. So what's this going to look like?
And now everyone has
5 games down the road.
A full game tape of, okay, they are going to use him as Rashee Rice.
Yeah.
We might have to... He will get targets. We're going to have to treat him a little differently. Okay.
They are going to give Kareem Hunt the football 27 times.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do we do to shut that down? Mm-hmm. What can't he do?
But I thought the Chiefs' D was good.
The Chiefs' D has been the one constant for
That's
them.
been the constant, right? Yeah. And Mahomes. And Mahomes hasn't been phenomenal.
No, but, with the game last night, because of some catch and run stuff, his average per pass was 8.5. Mm-hmm. But they weren't long pass. I mean, it was some catch and run stuff that.
Do you think they're the best team in the league? I guess we will do power ranks later, so we could talk about that. But
I don't think so.
I don't know who is.
I don't know who is, but I put it this way: everybody has flaws.
Yeah, very much so. So I think 21 teams either have 2 or 3 losses.
Yeah,
I mean that's the Steelers. I mean that's what the league wants. I'm pretty sure who, including some of those, who the really bad teams are. But I'm not quite sure who the really good teams are.
I mean, 3 weeks ago, everybody was talking about the Saints as being one of the top because they scored 90 points in their first 2 games.
That's what I was going to say, actually. I mean, like,
what are they?
Where are the points been the last month?
Yeah.
I mean,
they'd like to have saved some of those for now.
Right. And they did some new things, caught people by, off balance.
Oh, this Clint Kubiak offense, this thing's loaded. Well, they threw for 174 yards and rushed for 46 last night.
Mm-hmm. And they had a big play to Shaheed. I mean, other than that, it wasn't consistent.
It was nothing.
Right. And then Carr got hurt at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. I mean, the game was out of whack at that point anyway.
But it's an oblique, and he's a quarterback, and you kind of need your oblique to
they can linger too, right? So everybody's got issues.
Yeah. But
and everyone's down on the Steelers, but I mean, Buffalo has none of their guys can get away from man coverage. I mean, if Allen's not a superstar, they're back to that on offense. The back seven's not great. We just talked about some Chief things going on. Ravens' pass defense is problematic.
I'm
talking about some of the
best teams. I saw a thing today,
like
they're talking about. So last week I saw a thing that said Marlon Humphrey is back.
Yeah.
This week I see a thing. Nate Wiggins, he's really impressive. I'm like, all right, so if you got these 2 cornerbacks that are that impressive, how the hell are you giving up 400 yards and 5 touchdowns to Joe Burrow?
And Cal Hamilton's a good player in the second.
Right.
And, they're not getting a lot of pass.
And your free safety's a former All-Pro. Like they can't all be. You can't throw for 400 yards, and you're targeting the nickel corner.
Right. It's not all on Roquan or
no.
Right. They got, Yeah, I don't know who the weak links are, but their pass defense overall is certainly a problem.
I bet you NFL teams know who it is.
Yeah. I don't think they're shying away from anyone.
No.
Cincinnati's defense is bad.
Right.
Who are the good teams?
I don't know right now, and again, that's why you play. And if you're a good team now, like the Vikings are 5-0 right now.
Yeah.
Playing well.
Yeah, playing real well.
How's it going to look 3 weeks from now? I don't know.
It is a very week-to-week league. And
it really
we
is.
should probably remind our listeners that more and more. Even after the highs. Like, Steelers played well that game, but doesn't mean they're going to play well next game.
Alabama beat Georgia.
Yeah.
And then goes and loses to Vanderbilt.
Mm-hmm.
It happens in college football,
too. It happens
too.
in college, too. Yeah, but the NFL's designed that way. They want parity. They want, and
so
injuries
they
change
schedule,
things a lot.
unlike college football where if I'm a good football team, I'm a good program, I can schedule myself. If I have 12 games, I can get 8 of them at home.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'll pay somebody to come in and beat them, beat the tar out of them. You don't get to do that in the NFL.
No.
The schedule makers, you don't have any control over your schedule, in fact. And if they want to give you 3 straight road games, they're going to give you 3 straight road games. If they want to give you 3 out of 4 on the road to open the season, is what happened to the Steelers. You're playing 3 of the 4 to open the season on the road.
Mm-hmm. If you want to go overseas, you're going overseas.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Or, hey, you're getting a bunch of cluster injuries at outside linebacker. We don't care. Your restaurant got hit by lightning. I don't
pay me.
Yeah, right. Yes, exactly.
Absolutely. Anyways, let's get to a break. That's going to do it for hour number 1 of the drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with hour number 2 right after this. Welcome back to hour number 2 of the drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. And it is time, Matt, for the Fantasy Football Focus. And it being Tuesday, well, we got to take a look at the top waiver wire pickups and a look ahead at this week's schedule because, well, 2 days from now, they'll be playing another football game.
Yeah, and there could be a pretty active waiver wire.
Should be.
Yeah.
We're into some buys now.
And injuries and
stuff's
some depleted stuff out there, yeah.
Yeah. At the quarterback position.
Real quick, I don't know if I told you, but last week, my main league with my buddies, my bench had 0 points. Like, that's hard to do. They were all on bye or hurt. They were incapable of scoring points. Like 10 players.
Your regular lineup was like
Gibbs
that, too.
And in our league, it absolutely was, right.
At quarterback, Daniel Jones only owned in 9% of leagues on Yahoo.
I think he's closer to a starter during this time than a non-rosterable player.
He runs,
yeah.
Yeah.
They've been efficient throwing the ball, too.
Yeah. Justin Herbert, not sexy at this point, but may have been cut by some teams on his bye week and had been injured. And
you may have somebody on bye and need to fill in with them, and McConkey's all right. And,
not super sexy.
No, the volume's not there. I would think he's feeling better though after maybe he moves a little bit better now.
If you're in a 2 quarterback league, you're in a super flex. Are you picking up Jameis Winston now? Yes.
That's a weird conversation. I'm only in 1 Superflex league, and he's definitely already in it, and those rosters are huge. I mean, the league I'm in, because it's like a 25-man roster, Dynasty League, so all backups are already there. But if it's a smaller, normal rostered league that you can just happen to start 2 quarterbacks, he probably is out there. I just don't know if ownership will allow it.
Yeah, that's the problem right now. There was a big story.
You wonder if Watson gets hurt.
Maybe.
Then you can kind of.
Well, he's getting hit enough to get hurt.
Yeah.
Gets sacked 7 more times on Sunday. ESPN did a big piece on him today.
Watson.
Yeah. Okay. And Jeremy Fowler was part of that one. And I didn't realize. I knew that they had bumped money down the road on him. He's $83 million the next 2 seasons.
That's a big chunk
on their cap because they moved the money to next year.
Like 64, now it's 83.
Yeah, it went from 64 to 72 to they keep kicking
keep
kicking it down the road. Well, he's going to be good at some. He's made 17 starts for the Browns now. Now they're 9-8 in those starts.
Okay, right.
But he's been awful.
Not because he's good.
No, he's been awful.
If we do a quarterback rank list, he's going to be in the bottom 3 or 4.
He might be 32.
He might be 32. I was going to say maybe there's backups playing this week for Miami or whatever, that he maybe is better than. So
he's an anchor on the whole team right now.
Brutal. I was listening to Mike Lombardi's podcast on the way here, and he compared him to someone just hit the lottery. Like, I don't have to work. not real sure what to do with myself. He shows no emotion during games. He just gets paid no matter what. Like, he has no incentive financially to do anything different. You know, if you just look at it through his eyes, should I work super hard to redeem my tarnished legacy? Well, it's probably going to stay pretty tarnished. You know, like, I'm getting a check.
If they if the Browns cut him tomorrow, and this has nothing to do with our fantasy football talk, but what
right. But we brought him up.
Would anybody sign him to any deal right now?
I don't think. It's very different than like Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Not to mention it'd be a much bigger cap hit for the Browns than Denver.
They can't do it.
No. I mean, he's going to be there next year, too.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you could draft one.
Well, they could definitely. They're going to be drafting high enough that they're going to have a shot to draft one, but they're still going to be married to Watson.
Enough. But back to your fantasy stuff. I think they'll have to like fake or embellish an injury for Winston to be the starter.
Yeah, I don't see that happening either because there's no reason for him to say, "Yeah, I'm not hurt," or not to say, "I'm not hurt." I'm good.
Does he even want to play? I mean, would he mind sitting out? I mean, not that I feel bad for Stefanski, but he has to play him, and he has to try to make him win, and he's terrible.
Up in New England, it's Drake May time.
Yeah.
They've made the switch. You picking up Drake May?
I don't think so. The offense is just too bad.
They have no offensive skill players.
Yeah, and blocking.
Yeah. And Jabril Peppers just got arrested.
Right,
There's all kinds of bad stuff happening.
Yeah, they're one of the worst teams in the league, clearly.
At running back, Tank Bigsby is only owned in 23% of leagues.
Jump on them.
Where are these leagues at?
I say, sign me up. Spend a lot to get him. I mean, I think he's going to be the one, more or less. I mean, he's a bigger. I think there's a chance.
He's averaging like 7 yards a carry.
Yeah.
For the season.
Breakaway runs. He's going to be the goal line guy. I don't think it's crazy to think ATN might get traded. You know, I mean, their season's gone down the toilet. He's a starter.
Yeah.
In fantasy, I think.
Tyrone Tracy Jr. also only owned in 23% of leagues. Now, he was starting to bite into Devin Singletary a little bit. Singletary didn't play last week, and he goes 18 for 129 against Seattle.
I'm highly interested. I mean, I think he should be in every league. I don't know if I would immediately throw him in my starting lineup this week if I have decent options. I mean, if my best guys are off, obviously, you live with it. And I would like to see life with Singletary, but...
Yeah, is he going to get 18 carries every week? Probably not.
But a lot of those rookies, as the season goes on, get the trust, and, you know, you didn't count on them to be the starter, and running backs become starters halfway through the year. Pick him up.
Yeah. No, he should definitely be in leagues. Roshan Johnson is owned in 20% of leagues. We're starting to have some interest in Roshan Johnson. I know you're not a Swift fan.
I'm not, but he's been playing a lot and doing well the last couple of weeks. They're a Swift fan. You know, they're Swifties.
Roshan Johnson, though, has rushed for 3 touchdowns in the last 2
I know.
years.
He's the goal line guy, though.
Yeah.
And their offense is playing a lot better. Yeah, I mean, the quarterback's playing better. They're running the ball better.
They're not going to play the Carolina Panthers every week, though.
Right. And Swift's not the most durable guy. I mean, it's kind of if you got an empty spot, you know, you're holding Rashee Rice or something like that. I mean, you could do better than try to get ahead of the game before everyone's putting in on him.
Yeah.
He's not a bad player.
We talked about Braylon Allen before. He should be in leagues.
Yeah.
I don't know what's
their
wrong.
running game's not good.
Their offense is broken right now.
It is. And they got fired today. I mean,
the head coach got whacked.
Yeah. And I think he wanted to whack the offensive coordinator.
Yeah. Justice Hill is getting way more playing time than I ever thought he would in Baltimore.
I guess you have to respect that and honor it and throw him out there. He would be the guy, I guess, if Henry got hurt.
He had 96 total yards and a score against Buffalo.
Yeah.
He also was on the field a lot against the Bengals.
Yeah, Henry's not an every down back. There's a lot of situations he's not out there, and you want to spell him at his age. And that's all they got.
Yeah.
Is that little dude Mitchell, is he coming back?
I don't think he is.
I know it was a bad injury.
It was a bad. It was more than just an ACL, I think.
Yes.
Ty Chandler looks like the Vikings are on a bye this week, but Aaron Jones has a hip injury that's considered week to week. So if Ty Chandler's available for 2 weeks from now, I'd pick him up this week.
Oh, yeah. And
if
probably should have owned him if you had Jones anyways.
Yeah.
You probably screwed that up. The thing is, though, when Jones got hurt, Chandler got like 100% of the workload. You know, like, so it wouldn't be that much if Jones were out, but he would get a big portion. He would be a valuable value. He's a starter. I mean, he's a fantasy starter.
What do you make of Jeremy McNichols in Washington? We mentioned him last week, and he's going to go back to the bench.
I assume.
Well, then Brian Robinson got dinged up in that game, and Ekeler got the most touches. McNichols had like 9 carries for 60 yards again.
I think, and I'm not certain on this, I kind of think he's both their handcuffs. You know, Robinson's the bigger guy. Eckler's the third down back. He's not as good as either at that. But if either gets hurt, he takes that role.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So he should probably be – it's a good offense.
It's a good offense. You could do worse.
Yeah.
I'm not starting him for a while.
No.
Right.
Yeah. At wide receiver, Darnell Mooney, only owned in 48% of leagues. He should be in every league.
He should be in every league.
Yeah.
They're using him a lot. He looks better than ever. Wasn't that long ago that he was very fantasy relevant for the Bears.
Guy we saw on Sunday, Jalen Tolbert, only owned in 7% of leagues. Well, we know Cooks is out.
Yeah.
Tolbert's going to be out there.
Yeah.
In a good passing offense.
And he's a talented player that there's been a lot of good buzz on him every step of the way. You know, or this year. I mean, he started his career really slow. But in camp, there was a lot of buzz. He's going to be on the field nearly every snap. Dak likes him. He's going to see single coverages. I mean, this isn't a unique idea to try to take C.D. Lamb out of the game.
No.
He's going to see single coverages. He's probably a top 50 receiver.
Yeah, I mean, Mooney, I think if you pick him up, you may want to start him.
Yeah, I'd say he's a receiver 3, probably.
Yeah. Tolbert, I have to see it again.
Yeah.
But
if you're hitting
it's promising.
5 weeks or you've A.J. Brown or, whatever.
Josh Downs has done it 2 weeks in a row, but that is very dependent on Flacco.
Yeah. He's a really good player, and I wouldn't drop him if all of a sudden Richardson becomes the starter because he could get hurt any minute too. Again.
Yeah, again.
We may see Flacco yet again. But it's a shame because you saw what Downs is capable of.
He's really quick.
He's really quick. I mean, he's a really good football player, but I would not be starting him with Richardson. I would hold him.
Keon Coleman's still now only owned in 45% of leagues.
I get it. He still seems like he's learning.
There's some hit and miss there.
Yeah, they don't have great man coverage beaters at the moment. I think there's a chance Devontae Adams ends up there or some receiver. But I wouldn't mind holding him to see how it goes.
Not much at the tight end position, not surprisingly.
Yeah, I bet.
But Tyler Conklin's still less than 50% owned. He's gotten 6 targets in each of the last 3 Jet games.
It's not horrible. You know, like I was in such bad shape, I picked up Parkinson in one of my leagues, and he's like at that level. You know, Hunter Henry, some of these guys that.
I mean, if you're getting 6 targets at the tight end position, you could do worse.
It's not that bad, right?
Yeah.
Adams could end up there, too.
Moving on here to the matchups for the week. The Thursday night game is San Francisco at Seattle.
I'm going to say no on Seattle.
I don't love either.
I don't love either. Game. Seattle did not play well defensively against the Giants.
Does Fred Warner play this week on a short week? And
I would bet not.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm cutting them. I mean, they're in most leagues.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm cutting them to pick up some streamer, but I don't have high expectations. Where's that game at?
In Seattle.
Yeah. I don't like road Thursday night anything.
Yeah. Jacksonville is at Chicago. That's a 9:30 game in London, baby.
Bears is appealing. It's not great, but it's appealing.
Yeah.
I would not be. Jags Colts was no defense last week.
None played whatsoever. Yeah. Arizona is at Green Bay, 1:00 game.
I don't love either.
Yeah, I don't love that. Indianapolis is at Tennessee.
Titans. It's not awesome. I would like to know is it Flacco or Richardson.
Yeah, that would be meaningful to know there.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see, but
Colts D is really bad.
Really bad.
Titans are not a bad matchup, but Colts D is really bad.
Would you start the Colts defense though? It's going to be.
That's what I was sitting there thinking. It was like they probably aren't going to let up 30. I mean, they probably won't hurt you. It'll be one of those ones you start and you get a 0.
They could get a defensive touchdown.
Yeah, Levis likes to.
Levis likes to do that.
Yeah.
Here's take the 6 for it. Here's
you
7.
like starting your D against the Titans.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Probably
not in the top 12.
Houston is at New England. The
man.
Texans are the slam dunk of the week.
They're probably going to be 1.
Yeah.
Rookie quarterback probably 2.
This one could be interesting as well. Tampa Bay at New Orleans. Now, I will say this. Because of the hurricane situation right now, Tampa Bay is in New Orleans now.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
They had to leave, but who's the backup's name? And I can't remember.
For what team?
For New Orleans. Played last night.
Oh, Hoerner. I always say it wrong. It's not Horner, it's Herner.
Horner, yeah.
I thought he looked like a high school kid.
Jake Herner.
Yes,
what it is.
yeah. Fresno State. I'll play that defense. You're going
to be that Tau Bulls defense that blitzes like crazy against a guy who's a second-year quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about Saints D?
No.
I'm not thrilled about it.
No, not with Jake Horner at quarterback.
Right.
No. Cleveland is at Philadelphia.
Is the Browns D droppable?
Yes.
Like I drafted him in my other league. I was hung with them because there wasn't any streamers I loved that were happened to be available.
Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown are back this week.
Yeah.
The Eagles are coming off a bye.
Put points up, and they're always on the field.
And you got to start the Eagles' defense against the Browns.
Oh, yeah. That's a much better start than the Browns' defense.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think the Browns are in the top 12 anymore. Like, we were just drafting right now. I don't think they're in the top 12 anymore.
Washington is at Baltimore. Baltimore's defense can't stop the passing game.
No. I'm still not on board with Washington.
No, I'm not either. I'm not starting either one of those defenses.
I think it's a no and a no.
Yeah.
I mean, they're two of the highest scoring teams in the league.
Right. You get the number one offense against a team that just throws the ball all over the yard.
Mm-hmm. I bet they run all over Washington, too.
The Chargers are at Denver.
Yes and yes.
Here's the problem with starting the Denver defense. Their production the last few weeks has been largely on their pass rush.
Oh, yeah.
Are you going to be able to rush the passer against the Chargers?
Nice to see the Chargers putting up a lot of points.
Two good tackles.
Yeah.
Who should be healthy again. Yeah. And the Chargers just want to run the football.
Mm-hmm. I might prefer the Chargers defense, although I think Denver's is better.
Yeah, that's where I was kind of going with that.
Fresh, coming off a bye.
They've had 2 weeks to prepare for this, so they're watching all this Bo Nix tape going, we just got to put everybody at the line of scrimmage.
They actually average the fewest points allowed in the league, Chargers.
Yeah.
A little bit smoke and mirrors, but they've had a bye. But
Steelers at the Raiders.
Yes, on Steelers. I mean, you don't know who the quarterback is, and I know the Steelers have some injuries, but yes, on Steelers.
Can't start the Raiders defense.
I don't think you can start them against anybody.
Yeah.
Would you start them against the Browns?
I think I did a couple of weeks ago, actually.
Yeah.
They played them a couple, and they did okay.
Mm-hmm. It's better than like when
everybody does okay against the Browns defense.
One thing I will say about the Raiders D, though, like when you start breaking it down by player or position group, there's not much you get excited about.
Yeah.
But the unit is better than some of the parts or whatever that is.
Detroit is at Dallas.
No on Dallas.
I might start the Detroit defense this
Detroit's
week.
not bad.
Yeah.
They'll rush the passer. Fresh.
They're going to run the football and kind of control the game.
Yeah, they're probably in the top 12. It's a good defense.
Yeah. Atlanta is at Carolina.
Never on Carolina, and Atlanta's rolling.
Can you start the Atlanta defense?
That's what I'm thinking. That's why I said the other one first, because my brain was really thinking about something else in
Your
the back.
lizard brain was working that one over.
It's probably borderline.
Cincinnati at New York.
Jets or Giants?
Giants.
No on Cincy. No on New York.
Yeah.
I bet Burrow gets hit a few times.
That's the Sunday night game. Yay.
Yeah, all right.
And then
Bengals could lose that game.
Oh, yeah. The Monday night game. Buffalo at the Jets.
I had a prediction today that Devontae Adams is going to play in that game. I don't know for who, but I have just my hunch.
I don't know if he plays in a Monday night game.
I think he ends up in one of those two teams.
That's fine. I just don't know that he hasn't. It's Tuesday. He hasn't been traded.
He traded like today, yeah.
And he's on the West Coast.
Yeah,
ish.
You get an extra day. Jets D, I'm playing. I just think it's really good, and I'm not blown away by Buffalo's offense at all.
I don't love either. Well,
Bills are probably not in my top.
The Bills
12.
pass rush against New York's offensive line
I was thinking too.
Yeah.
Jets don't run the ball well, and Rodgers will get hit, and they're just dysfunctional right now too.
Rodgers threw 3 picks last week.
I wouldn't cut the Bills if you've been rolling with them.
And they're coming. Let's remember, they just fired the coach.
Right.
Robert Saleh gone. They just got back from London.
Oh, yeah, they don't have a bye after.
No bye after the London game, so
Yeah,
you get some
that's a great
tired
point.
legs. Like you get the
Old man Rogers.
the extra day of rest to
Yeah.
with the Monday night game. But is it really rest?
That's enough to convince me.
You spent a day in the air, coming back from London,
And you're firing your coach.
and you fired your coach.
Yeah, it's a big deal. I don't think you get that boost of the coach.
I think there's a little bit of disarray there right now. And
Absolutely. Yeah,
if I'm
Bill
Adams,
D's okay.
If I'm Adams, I don't want to go anywhere near that toxic franchise.
No, even if Rogers is my buddy, he's not going to be there next year anyway.
Right.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Aaron, I'm going to come here for 11 games, and you're going to be gone.
Mm-hmm. We're not going to win anything, and we got a backup new coach, and right. Yeah, that's not appealing to me.
I'm not ready to retire and go live in a cave with you.
No. You starting the Jets D then for that reason?
No. Nope.
I like the Jets D.
There's some other matchups here that I like much better.
I wouldn't cut the Jets D and dump them for
Like, let's say, okay, so you starting the Chargers or you starting the Jets?
Chargers.
Okay. You starting Denver or you starting the Jets?
Denver. Like, that game might be a race to 10.
Okay. How about Atlanta or the Jets?
Jets.
Atlanta plays Carolina.
I know, Jets.
How about Philadelphia or the Jets?
Who's Philly have again?
Cleveland.
Philly.
You starting Tampa Bay against New Orleans or the Jets?
Jets. Well, it depends if Carr plays or not.
Baby, I'm
sorry. Carr, there's been no word yet on Carr.
I mean, they had 200 yards of offense last night.
Yeah. If it's Herner, I don't know why I can't say his name. It's not even a hard one.
Heard.
Right,
You sound like the Swedish chef on the Muppets.
Right. If he plays, then you definitely want the Bucs D over the Jets. He's really bad, too.
Colts against the Titans or the Jets?
Jets.
Oh, I don't know.
I think the Jets got guys.
That's fine.
I don't think Buffalo's offense is that great.
Yeah, but I don't know.
I don't love the jet lag thing and the whole week, that
And you're definitely starting Houston.
Oh, yeah.
Houston might be the
they
start
might be
of the week.
number one.
Yeah.
They might be number one.
If they're not, Philly might be, but
yeah. But if Houston's like fourth in DFS, I would consider paying up. We don't usually spend much on defenses, but I'd consider that.
yeah, they might be number one though in DFS.
They should be.
They're not
one,
at home, but
yeah, it's a good matchup.
yeah. I'm gonna guess. I'll bet you Houston's got the.
You think
I bet they're the most expensive this week.
I think they should be, just buzzing through them.
Yeah.
But if they're not, I'd consider it.
Yeah. Anyways, that's the Fantasy Football Focus. That's a look at this week's slate of games. There's a few good ones on there.
Yeah, there's some defenses that you can pick up or roll with. Yeah.
Absolutely. But we're going to get to a break. He is the Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Up next, we got a little power rankings. See what happens in those right after this. Welcome back. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson, and it is Power Ranking Day on Tuesday here. We'll take a look at Eric Edholm's Power Rankings.
I don't envy Eric Edholm. That's a lot easier.
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
Just throw them in you can kind of just throw them into a box or bag and say, okay, yeah, they'll put them there.
The bottom be fine.
Yeah.
Bottom is easy.
At 32, he has the Carolina Panthers.
Ooh. I think out of the Patriots.
That's rough.
Yeah. Panthers, their offense is all right.
Yeah.
I think out of the Patriots.
That was down one spot. Down two spots he has at 31, the Patriots.
Okay.
So they're not far.
I guess Carolina would be 31 for me, though. Now I think it through.
At 30, down two spots, the Cleveland Browns.
Yes. Jags and Miami were in that neighborhood last week, but they both won, and they did some good things. It wasn't just fluky, easy, dumb win. I mean, Browns are terrible. They're the worst offense in the league.
By far.
By far.
By far.
By far, yeah.
At 29, up three spots, Jacksonville. Jacksonville's better than Miami.
Yeah, they are. They might be better than a couple teams.
Yeah. Now, that being said, he does have Miami next at 28, up two spots. They are 2-3 as opposed to the 1-4 the Jaguars are.
I mean, they beat the Patriots last week.
Yeah, let's not get
and
carried away.
And their quarterbacks are bad, yeah.
But they belong at 28. Like those four teams are the five teams or whatever it is.
I don't know who would be next. Giants, maybe.
They just won, though.
I know.
At 27, down four spots, he has the Rams.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's what they're turning into.
Yeah, they're just all beat up.
Yeah.
And they didn't have any depth to begin with.
Right, right.
At 26, holding steady because they were on a bye, the Tennessee Titans.
Fair. I got no problem
But they're
with
still 1-3.
Mm-hmm.
At 25, down a spot, the Raiders.
Maybe lower. I mean, they don't have a quarterback.
They beat Cleveland. Who's their other win against? I don't even know. Baltimore, that's right. Baltimore and Cleveland. Steelers got to try to avoid that this week. Do not let the Raiders say they are the AFC North champions.
Maybe that's all they do all year, and they get 4 wins, 4-13 against the North.
Let the Raiders be the team that everybody can point to at the end of the season and say, Baltimore didn't win the division because they lost to the Raiders. Because that's what Steeler fans, they didn't win the division because you lost that game to the Cardinals or you lost that game to the Patriots. Let the Raiders be that for the
I bet Mike Tomlin
Ravens.
is letting his team know that this team beat the Ravens.
That might come up once or twice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, they might even be lower. Like, I don't know if they beat the Jags right now.
Ooh, at 24, down 3 spots. The Cincinnati Bengals.
The record's terrible.
Burrow's
still a little low for me.
Burrow's on pace for a 4,500-yard, 40-touchdown, 7-interception season, and they're 1-4 with 3 of the losses at home.
That's a top 5 to 7 offense.
And a bottom
5 to 7 defense.
Maybe bottom 3 defense.
Yeah. I'd still have them ahead of like the Giants, though.
Oh boy, yeah, probably, but
yeah.
They're
not. I mean, they don't win games.
That's kind of important.
Yeah.
Kind of the whole fact of the matter. At 23, up 4 spots are the Giants.
Okay.
He always overrates the Giants.
Yeah, I guess you're right about that.
Yeah.
We've talked about that before.
At 22, up 3 spots, the Arizona Cardinals.
Okay.
I can't believe I would have both New York teams down in these 20s here.
I'd have the Bengals ahead of the Giants and the Jets and the Cardinals.
Yeah. At 21, down 5 spots, the Colts.
That's probably about right.
At 20, down 5 spots, are the Jets, who just fired head coach Robert Saleh today.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw some stuff out there later in the day here. Saleh was considering firing Nathaniel Hackett, the offensive coordinator, who, of course, is a friend of Rodgers. You can't do that.
He deserves to be fired, though.
I don't disagree.
It doesn't matter. It's inconsequential.
But you waited 5 games into the season to do it. And did you expect to beat the Vikings in London?
I didn't.
No.
I didn't at all. They're a mess. I mean, because
you fired you just talked about their defense. The defense isn't the problem. Robert Saleh is a defensive head coach.
Yep.
Your offense has been the problem. Your quarterback just went out and threw 3 interceptions in that game. You can't run the football with one of the most talented running backs in the league.
Yep.
After you spent money on your offensive line, the offense is the issue, and you fire your defensive-minded head coach. And then elevate his defensive coordinator to the head coach position. Who's coordinating the defense now?
That's what I was going to say. Like, there's so many things that are bad about this. First off, I don't think the organization is very strong from ownership down. And the only things that are fixtures of the organization right now are the owner and Rodgers. I mean, that's all that matters to me. I mean, like, the GM should be worried.
And you're renting Rodgers.
What's that?
And you're renting Rodgers.
Right, and he'll leave at any time, and he has no ties to you, and he'll go host Jeopardy or live in a cave or eat mushrooms or whatever he wants to do. And live his life, so what? But you made this commitment. It's not the Deshaun Watson level, but you pushed all your chips in on this guy and went out and got all his dudes and Tyron Smith and all these old dudes that you knew were fragile to begin with to win it this year. And
you're not going to win it this year.
It's early October, and you already fired your coach. And the guy you're promoting just started calling defensive plays like a year or 2 ago, and now he's going to be the defensive play caller and have to do timeouts and all the head coach stuff, which is not going to work.
Should work well, yeah.
Yeah, what's wrong with that? And meanwhile, the biggest problem is the offensive coordinator, who's Rodgers' boy and isn't going anywhere.
Who himself got fired halfway through a season in Denver because he was so dysfunctional. Like,
he's
not – now he's going to be running the entire – okay, well, I got to handle this stuff. You handle the offense.
You think Ulbricht's going to be on top of him at all?
No.
I mean, the offense is totally his. And I have not broke down their X's and O's to the nth degree. But everyone that has kind of laughs at their offense because I heard people saying it's like Microsoft 1.0. It is the West Coast offense from 1985 that Bill Walsh invented. And they've not switched protections. They have not adapted. They're running old software.
Everybody knows how to defend that
Everyone knows how to blitz it. Everyone knows your protections. Like they check to this, and here comes a slant. And that's what Rodgers is comfortable with. But he's old too,
right?
Times change. They're a mess.
At 19,
they might just keep going lower.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe they're fine and get back to power ranks. Maybe they're fine now, but they're going backwards.
I think they're going to lose to the Bills this week, and I think they're probably going to lose to the Steelers next week.
I could see them losing bad to a couple teams.
Yeah.
Like the Raiders hired Pearson. They got ding dong, the witch was dead. The guy who went into the building was gone, and that's not the case here.
Yeah, I don't think it was anyways.
Yeah.
At 19, down a spot, are the Chargers.
Fine. Health will help them a little bit, the bye week.
At 18, down 6 spots, the San Francisco 49ers.
That's too harsh.
That's kind of the way they're playing, though.
They're finding ways to lose.
Yeah, 18.
Yeah.
They're playing like the 18th best team in the league right now.
They also didn't have a kicker.
But you blew a 23-10 lead at home.
That's not like them at all. I still think that's harsh.
Yeah. They're 0-2 and 0-3 in the division and conference.
Oh, no, there's some tiebreaker stuff that's not going their way.
Yeah,
right.
That's going to be
troublesome. They better win the division.
At 17, up 5 spots. Well, I would agree that the 49ers are better than this team, the Chicago Bears.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Bears are doing better things. Williams is doing better things, but they're not as good as the Niners.
At 16, down 2 spots, the Saints.
That's fine, but I would have the Niners ahead of them, too. They didn't exactly blow my doors off last night.
At 15, down 4 spots, Seattle.
Yeah. The O-line's becoming an issue.
Yeah.
The protection's not great. Some defensive injuries.
They play the 49ers on Thursday night, so we'll get a chance to see that. I saw something on the 49ers. The 49ers allowing like 13.2 yards per catch to the slot this season.
Wow.
The worst in the NFL.
Wow.
Teams are just attacking them in the slot.
Smith and Jigba.
Big Smith and Jigba.
Yeah. We do it. Put him in the captain's chair.
There you go. At 14, up 6 spots, Denver.
That's too. I mean, the defense is good. They've won 3 in a row. I respect that. They're running the ball okay.
They still threw for -7 yards 2 weeks ago in the first half.
Still not a good offense. Come on. They're not better than the Niners.
Yeah. At 13, up 4 spots, Dallas.
They're probably better than everybody mentioned. Maybe San Francisco aside. I just think he missed on that one, but they're better than these last few teams.
At 12, up 7 spots, Atlanta.
I think I'd have Atlanta over the Steelers right now. I'd have Atlanta over everybody mentioned right now. They're doing some good stuff.
Except getting Bijan Robinson the football.
No, they're not doing that, but they're winning games.
At 11, up 2 spots, the Eagles.
I'm fine with it. I mean, especially if Smith and Brown are back and Lane
Atlanta
Johnson.
Just beat the Eagles?
What's that?
Didn't Atlanta just beat the Eagles a couple weeks ago?
And someone's out there going, didn't Dallas just beat the Steelers?
Yeah, but this was, they're right next to each other.
Mm-hmm. It is different when they're right next to each other.
And Atlanta's on a little bit of a heater right now and just beat the Eagles going into the bye. At 10, holding steady, the Steelers. So he didn't ding them too badly.
Didn't.
Here's the thing: the 2 losses have both been by 3 points.
Yeah.
So you're not getting blown out, even when you lose. Which again, that wasn't always the case last year.
Yeah.
When they lost, a lot of times they lost big.
Yeah, they had a negative point differential, right? Despite having a winning record, because they lost bad. Niners blew them out. Right.
So those kind of games haven't happened. The game Sunday could have turned into that. You double a team up in yardage.
Yeah.
That's usually what it is. Oh, you lost 30-12. That didn't happen.
Just because you and I picked the Steelers and thought they'd win those 2 games, doesn't mean that they were hideous losses. For like these kind of purposes. You know what I mean?
At 9, down a spot, Tampa Bay.
Would they be number 1 in that division for you? I kind of like Atlanta better.
Atlanta won at home, and it went to overtime, and it was probably a little bit of a gift there.
Yeah. They're close.
Atlanta still won the game.
Right. Yeah, they're close. I don't know what quarterback I prefer. Probably Cousins.
At 8, up 1 spot, Green Bay.
I'm there with them. I think they're back and weathered the storm of being out with Love, and That could have won a lot worse.
Actually did better than weathered the storm.
Yeah,
they
did.
went 2-0.
Went 2-0. That's pretty remarkable.
At 7, down 3 spots is Buffalo.
I'm a little worried. I didn't like what we saw this past week. I thought the defense got exposed and lack of playmakers showed up.
That was a tough 2 weeks for them.
It was.
You go to 2 Baltimore and 2 Houston in back-to-back weeks.
That's harsh.
Yeah.
So Allen left that game to get evaluated for a concussion, came back, but looked concussed. Like he was kind of a mess.
Well, he was going to stay in the game. I think he hurt the shoulder more than anything.
Okay. His head slammed off the turf.
And I think it was his right shoulder.
Okay.
Was it his right or left shoulder?
After he left to get examined, I didn't think he looked.
They forced me. He was ready to stay in the game, and was kind of more, I think, the shoulder injury than anything because he got driven to the ground on his shoulder. But
he didn't finish strong.
No.
And they go as he goes.
At 6, up 1 spot, Washington.
They're fun. I mean, I'm not going to give Eric Edholm a hard time for having them that high. I mean, they're winning a lot of games, and they're impressive doing so. We'll see, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, let's take a look at who the wins have been against.
I think there's a good chance they end up 3rd in their division.
Blowing out the Browns is not the
right.
Beating Arizona.
They've played some pretty easy defenses too. Like 4 of their 5 are bad defenses.
Yeah. At 5, up 1 spot, Baltimore.
I'd have them higher. They'd be in contention for 1 for me.
At 4, up a spot, Houston.
Playing well. I like having them that high.
3, holding steady, is Detroit.
Yep. I'd have a hard time ranking those 3.
2, holding steady, is Kansas City, which means 1 is Minnesota. I can't put Baltimore ahead of any of those 4 teams.
Yeah, I mean,
they don't have the bad loss that Baltimore does.
Yeah. Like, I don't deep down think the Vikings are better than any of those 4 teams or any of the teams in the top 5. But kind of like Washington, you can't put them at 12.
And, yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
They're off this week, so maybe Kansas City, if they win again this week, bumps ahead of them.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
I'd probably have KC 1. Defense is strong. Vikes have had the best
year.
Vikings, yeah. Vikings have had the best year of any team.
Nobody expected this from the Vikings.
No. And that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But I think they've had the best year of any team.
Honestly, Sam Darnold has played better than Patrick Mahomes in the grand overall.
Yeah. If you didn't know the names on the back of the jersey who had the better year, it's Darnold.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think that's fair.
So
give them respect. I mean, that's fine.
Yeah.
I think that's clear. Who was 6?
6 was Washington.
Okay, I think there's a top 5. I guess the way
and then
to put it.
After that, then the next 8 or so teams are kind of in the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think I would put 5 teams in tier 1, and then
I don't know if the Ravens are there yet for me. I think they're good.
I really think their offense is good.
I think I've watched them now play a couple of full games, and I'm like, yeah, the offense is good. But the defense is.
It's worrisome.
And I still don't think their offensive line is fixed. I know they're running the football and doing it, but I think Lamar covers some of that stuff up.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think a team with a good pass rush.
So if they get into a drop-back passing game, well, they kind of did against Cincinnati.
But Cincinnati doesn't have they don't have the defense to do that.
They got 1 pass rusher, right?
Yeah.
I'd like to see an interior pass rusher. What would they do against Chris Jones?
Yeah.
I mean, we did.
What are they going to do against Cam Hayward?
Right.
Alex Highsmith should be back for that.
Mm-hmm.
And the Steelers have been their kryptonite. And
I think Lamar's playing really well, though.
Maybe some of that, my Ravens trepidation stems from having seen them 2 times a year now over this decade, and they can't beat the Steelers.
Which is a terrible slide to only watch if you're watching the Ravens.
But I do watch them against other teams,
of course.
And I watch them against other teams and think they're not going to be able to do that. Like they can't. They're not going to do that against the Steelers.
Right. And I 100% agree with you. And this is a Steelers show. But if they can do it against 31 other teams, they just hope they don't play the Steelers in the playoffs.
Or apparently the Raiders.
That was an odd one.
I mean, the comeback stuff against them is real, though.
The comeback stuff is definitely real.
Which is just
makes no sense to me at all.
Completely strange for a team that's supposed to be able to run the ball, that can run the ball,
and they do run the ball. Right. I don't know how they don't close teams out.
They just don't.
Part of it's pass rush.
Yeah.
I mean,
they don't have a pass rush. I think the offensive line is soft.
They don't have Bosa or Watt to tee off.
And I think because they don't have a pass rush, it exposes a secondary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is good but not great. And,
Yeah. I think they're a big-time contender in a league where I'm not sure who the big-time contenders are. They would definitely be in that 5.
I just don't know that they can beat Mahomes. I don't know that.
It's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely fair.
Because Kansas City plays defense.
Yeah. Are the Niners a team not in that 5 that you would say have the best chance to win the Super Bowl? Green Bay?
Green Bay, potentially.
Green Bay's pretty good.
Potentially. Yeah, potentially. I could see Atlanta getting their stuff together and coming out of the NFC.
Wow.
I think that defense is going to get better as the season goes on.
Mm-hmm.
The 2 safeties are really good. You added Judon. Cousins is starting to look like he's.
Could the Eagles get hot? They've won a lot of games over the last couple of years.
They could potentially, and you're getting your pieces back on offense.
Yeah, it could look good here for the next month or so.
Yeah,
I don't love Hurts. I think he has limitations.
He does, but when you have all those weapons, kind of like Purdy.
Could the Bills get back in like that top 5? Destroy the Jets.
I don't know if they have the horses this year.
I think they're in a step-back rebuild like we all thought, and then they started the season hot, and you kind of forget that.
Yeah.
So,
anyways, that's Eric Edholm's power rankings. Steelers coming in at 10th in that one. Didn't get dinged for the loss to the Cowboys. Kind of holding steady there.
Yeah. And the league is kind of holding. I mean, there's a lot of parity.
Up and down league. It's
parity.
So much parity in the NFL right now that maybe more so. I mean, again, we're 5 weeks into this. We've only got 2 unbeaten teams.
Yeah, and nobody is winless.
Yeah.
I mean, it's strange.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get to a break. He is the Matt Williamson. I'm Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back to finish up the show right after this. And we are back. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And just have some news and notes coming out of this weekend's games, Matt, including Robert Saleh getting fired.
Yeah, it's big news today, obviously.
It's big news. Didn't have him on the bingo card being the first guy gone.
No, I'm not sure to be in the top 5. I mean,
maybe.
It's a
maybe
volatile
not.
Situation. But,
Doug Peterson may have saved his job this weekend.
Yeah, he would have been number 1 for me. Yeah. I thought Chicago's seat might have been getting hot, but not anymore. Who else? I mean, I think the Colts are safe.
A lot of them are new. That's the thing.
Yeah, and a lot of teams won.
Yeah.
They kind of saved themselves a little bit. Like, I don't think the Giants are hot.
Stefanski's seat could be getting hot.
Yeah. Won Coach of the Year, and then you get fired the next year. I mean, that's probably neither is deserved.
Right.
I'm sure he's somewhere in between. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Anyways, Arizona Cardinals today placed offensive lineman Will Hernandez on injured reserve.
Yeah, he's a starter.
He's a starter. They signed offensive lineman Charlie Heck to their active roster.
Okay.
So, we didn't talk about the Bengals. Armarius Mims got hurt in that game the other day.
I know.
They also put they signed offensive tackle Andrew Stuber to their active roster. They also placed Jackson Kirkland on injured reserve. Okay. Another one of their offensive linemen.
Yeah, in addition like cluster injuries,
Dax Hill goes on.
Dax Hill's gone, I think, for the year, right?
Yeah.
Not great.
No.
They're not huge things, but they add up.
As you mentioned earlier in the show, Rashee Rice had that successful surgery Tuesday to repair his LCL. Only the LCL needed to be repaired, but he will not return this season.
And he faces a suspension when he comes back, too.
There's that, too, yeah.
You would think they'd have solved their receiver problem, but no Marquise Brown, no Rashee Rice.
Yeah. The Colts signed linebacker David Long to their active roster from the practice squad.
Okay. I didn't realize he was on the practice squad.
Yeah. So, he's probably a better player than that, right?
Is that the same David Long?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Aaron Jones with the Vikings considered week to week, but it won't be a long-term injury, according to Kevin O'Connell. They're on a bye this week, so that worked out well for them.
Sounds like at most he misses a game.
Yeah. Derek Carr with that oblique expected to miss multiple games.
Oh, wow.
According to Ian Rappaport and Mike Garafolo.
I might be willing to say they're not a playoff team.
They've lost 3 in a row after the hot start. They're not going to win a game without Derek Carr.
No. Their division is not easy anymore. I mean, it's not the best, but it's not easy anymore.
Yeah.
Lose 5 in a row.
They can't even turn to Taysom Hill for some quarterback-like stuff right now because he's got the broken ribs.
Yeah, I wonder if he'll be back next week, but even so.
Well, the station down the road here in Pittsburgh will start the Steelers should trade the Saints Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson, right.
Yeah, because that makes perfect sense.
That's a bad injury for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Philadelphia released Devin White.
Wow. He's not good. Everyone talked about Steelers should have taken White over Bush. They both had similar
stink.
careers,
yeah,
right?
They're
not
stink.
good. You're right, yeah.
Yeah, Devin White actually might be worse than Devin Bush.
Mm-hmm.
Devin Bush is still on an active roster.
Yeah, I guess he has a job. Would you throw Devin White on your practice squad if you're any team? I'm not even talking about Steelers, any team.
What'd you talk about earlier in the show about guys being not smart enough to...
Right. That could be.
That could be the case.
Yeah, it could be.
Because he just runs around.
Seem to
mention him to Merrill on Thursday night show and see where that goes.
That'd be one of his favorites. Yeah. just running around.
Running around.
Yeah.
See what happens. Maybe I run into a running back.
Yeah.
Maybe I run into a receiver.
What a waste.
Yeah.
I mean,
talented.
High pick, right. Yeah.
He was the 5th overall pick in that draft.
Yeah. Man, he was fun to watch at LSU. It's a lot different game.
Yeah. Hufanga with the 49ers expected to miss about a month due to a torn wrist ligament.
Yeah, second big injury in 2 years. Important player for him. Troy's buddy. Yeah, they already lost Hargrave.
Yeah.
It might not be their year.
Injuries starting to build up here.
Right. Some offensive skill guys, McCaffrey. They've overcome it a lot. And they're not.
Well, actually, they haven't overcome it. Yeah, that's been the problem.
They're not overcoming it.
Yeah. How about this one? With Jake Moody suffering that high ankle sprain, who's the 49ers kicker.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see who they replaced him with?
No.
Matthew Wright.
Ah, good. I didn't think he was bad.
No.
Yeah, right. There you
go. And so Matthew Wright, who's in training camp with the Steelers. I knew he would kick for somebody this year.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, he's one of the top 35 to 40 kickers on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
You just need to
get the right break.
It's about getting the break.
Right, yeah.
That's
a tough gig when you're 30 to 35-ish.
Yeah. There's some teams, other teams out there that
I'm sure you've been on the Steelers.
The guys who are banging the all these 50-yarders, that's all well and good, but then on the there's some other teams that just they don't get those.
Mm-mm.
You kind of
good for him.
Yeah. The Seahawks placed linebacker Uchenna Nwosu on injured reserve due to a thigh injury he suffered last week.
He's not a bad player.
He's a good player for them. Yeah.
He's had a lot of defensive line injuries.
Yeah. It's that time of year, and that's kind of it for the injury stuff there this week. But some notable people on those lists. I can't believe Devin White got cut.
Yeah,
he never played a game for them this year.
He didn't.
He was inactive the first 4 weeks.
Don't trust him.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's a team. And that's a team that, quite frankly, their inside linebackers have not been good.
No, they've been kind of neglecting them, and then they did something there, and decided not to just totally flush it, and now it's not any better.
On buys this week, Kansas City, the Rams, they need one.
Mm-hmm.
The Dolphins, they need one. And Minnesota. So the 2 unbeaten teams will be unbeaten going into week 6.
And we do power ranks next week. I'm sure they'll be 1 and 2.
Yeah.
They didn't do anything. They're not going to go backwards.
Yeah.
Could Tua return, I think, a game after that?
They're saying week 9 would be somewhere around there.
Okay.
You have to miss. You go on IR. You have to miss 4 games. not 4 weeks.
4 weeks. Okay.
So what's he missed? 2 or 3? 2?
2 at least.
2 at least. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Tua's missed Tua.
Yeah. So it could be 5 total weeks.
Yeah.
At least. Okay. Yeah. The Rams need it. I wonder if they'll get Kupp back.
That's
maybe
part of the expectation. Yeah. So we'll see how that goes for them. But
they're beat up.
Absolutely. I'm beat up. I'm still beat up from Sunday night. I need to get some sleep.
It was a strange one. Yeah.
Absolutely. But that's going to do it for the show today. So for my partner, Matt Williamson, for Justin Miller here on site, keeping us on the air, for Tyler Vittmeyer making us look all pretty on your TV or wherever you're watching the show on YouTube, I'm Dale Lolley. We appreciate you listening to this edition of The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network.
Steelers football happens here. The Pittsburgh Steelers Audio Network.